we are studying the Down syndrome population to look at their Alzheimer's-like neuropathology. So you might be wondering why we're studying the Down syndrome population. Well, Down syndrome is a trisomy, so they're going to overexpress certain genes on the extra chromosome. So the gene that we're interested in is the amyloid precursor protein. This essentially means that by age 40, nearly every adult with Down syndrome has elevated amyloid plaques. And these plaques are the same plaques you would see in sporadic Alzheimer's disease. And there's a higher prevalence of Alzheimer's disease in the Down syndrome population compared to other intellectual disabilities or to the general population. So that suggests that there's a pathogenic role for amyloid plaques, and we want to study that in vivo. So we're going to do a longitudinal study looking at markers of amyloid accumulation and various markers of neurodegeneration. So gray matter volume as a measure of neuron density and glucose metabolism as a measure of neuron function. And so that's what you see here. That's the amyloid accumulation with age. You see the same age relationship. And importantly, you see a deviation from sporadic AD in that there is a striatum dominant pattern. 6 out of the 20 with elevated amyloid have elevated amyloid only in the striatum. And that's odd because the striatum is typically involved in phase 3. And when it's involved in phase 3, it's also, you also see elevated amyloid in the cortex. So despite that striatum dominant pattern, if you look at the patterns of neurodegeneration, so if you look at the glucose hypermetabolism and the gray matter atrophy, you see that it's what you would expect in sporadic AD. Also, if you look at the longitudinal rates, you'll see that they are pretty much spot on with what you would expect for sporadic AD, given their baseline amyloid. So what we're hoping to do is extend these findings in the Down syndrome population to the more common sporadic AD. And so far we're seeing that there are many similarities despite the striatum dominant pattern that we're seeing at the beginning.